In Los Angeles, a new battle over immigration has begun. The Supreme Court has given President Trump a sweeping win, allowing agents to stop people for how they look, speak, or work. California leaders call it un-American, while Washington calls it victory. And for millions, the question now is simple: who truly belongs to America? The United States Supreme Court has sided once again with President Donald Trump's immigration agenda, granting federal agents broader authority to resume street-level sweeps in Southern California. By a 6-3 vote, the justices lifted a lower court order that had restricted the use of race, language, or occupation in determining whether someone could be questioned about their legal status. The ruling, delivered through the court's emergency or shadow docket, means immigration officers can resume so-called roving patrols across Los Angeles. The case stems from lawsuits brought by Latino residents, including US citizens, who said they were stopped solely because of their appearance or the language they spoke. California Governor Gavin Newsom criticized the decision sharply, saying the court had effectively sanctioned the targeting of Latinos and others who do not match the administration's vision of an American identity.
Trump's hand-picked Supreme Court majority just became the grand marshal for a parade of racial terror in Los Angeles. This isn't about enforcing immigration laws. It's about targeting Latinos and anyone who doesn't look or sound like Stephen Miller's idea of an American, including US citizens and children, to deliberately harm California's families and small businesses. Trump's private police force now has a green light to come after your family, and every person is now a target. But we will continue fighting these abhorrent attacks on Californians.
In a concurring opinion, Justice Brett Kavanaugh wrote that ethnicity alone cannot establish reasonable suspicion, but noted it may serve as a relevant factor when considered alongside other circumstances such as location or type of work.
Here, those circumstances include that there is an extremely high number and percentage of illegal immigrants in the Los Angeles area, that those individuals tend to gather in certain locations to seek daily work, that those individuals often work in certain kinds of jobs, such as day labor, landscaping, agriculture, and construction, that do not require paperwork and are therefore especially attractive to illegal immigrants, and that many of those illegally in the Los Angeles area come from Mexico or Central America and do not speak much English. To be clear, ethnicity alone cannot furnish reasonable suspicion. Under this court's case law regarding immigration stops, however, it can be a relevant factor when considered with other salient factors.
Justice Sonia Sotomayor, writing for the three dissenters, warned that the court's action risks normalizing seizures based on race or language, a stance she described as a misuse of the emergency docket. The ruling clears the way for Trump's Department of Homeland Security to intensify deportation efforts in Southern California, where recent raids have already sparked protests, lawsuits, and heightened fear in immigrant communities. The Supreme Court's decision to lift restrictions on President Donald Trump's immigration enforcement tactics has drawn swift pushback from California leaders. The ruling, which permits federal agents to stop and question people in Los Angeles based on factors like race, language, or occupation, is being met with sharp criticism at the state and local levels. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, speaking near a Home Depot where raids took place earlier this year, said the court had undermined the rights of millions. On her official X account, she called the decision un-American and dangerous, adding that city departments have been instructed to strengthen training to ensure compliance with Los Angeles's policy barring cooperation with federal immigration enforcement.
I want the entire nation to hear me when I say this isn't just an attack on the people of LEA, this is an attack on every person in every city in this country. Today's ruling is not only dangerous, it's un-American and threatens the fabric of personal freedom in the US.
California Attorney General Rob Bonta also voiced concern. His office filed a brief supporting the lawsuit challenging the raids. He said the court's reasoning was troubling, noting the inconsistency between barring the use of race in higher education while allowing it to justify immigration stops. The Department of Homeland Security welcomed the ruling, describing it as a major victory. In a statement, officials emphasized that immigration enforcement would not be slowed, portraying the sweeps as a necessary measure to target dangerous individuals. The ruling raises questions about what comes next. After a late summer lull, immigration sweeps in Los Angeles could now accelerate. Mayor Bass has warned that working families across the city may once again face the disruption and fear that accompanied earlier raids. The Supreme Court has allowed federal immigration agents in Los Angeles to continue stopping and questioning people based on factors such as race, language, or type of work. The ruling, issued through the court's emergency docket, lifts a lower court order that had barred those practices while a broader legal challenge unfolds. For residents, particularly Latino citizens and immigrants, the decision means that daily activities, from going to work to seeking day labor, may carry the risk of being stopped. Agents are not required to show individualized suspicion as long as they rely on what they call a combination of observable factors. The case centers on whether such sweeps violate the Fourth Amendment, which protects against unreasonable searches and seizures. Plaintiffs argue the government is using racial profiling under the guise of immigration enforcement. Earlier this summer, US District Judge Mame Ewusi Mensah Frimpong found it likely that the government's actions were unconstitutional and issued a temporary restraining order. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals upheld that order in August. The Supreme Court majority, however, declined to let those restrictions remain in place. Justice Brett Kavanaugh, writing separately, said that while ethnicity alone is not enough, it can be weighed alongside other circumstances. He added that questioning of citizens or lawful residents is typically brief and does not amount to significant harm. All three dissenting justices were Democratic appointees, underscoring the partisan split. Republican-appointed justices, by contrast, sided with the Trump administration's approach to immigration enforcement.